5-pointed star, each of those points on the star represent a biblical heroine or a woman personage. Like for instance, and you'll find this played out inside of the film. What's Denzel playing the blind man? Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
In the Book of Eli, there was a part where, because those brothers had to be Freemasonic. This is like their second Freemasonic movie. When sisters become Eastern Stars, it's usually because a grandmother or an aunt was one, or and it's always related to a system of internal support where they support one another. Utilizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all of that, he's going back into the herbs and he's going to be speaking about the gods. You understand? So externally, brothers is supposed to get charters to create free and accepted, duly accepted lodges for them to have the discussion of what a black Illuminati entails. But I can't trust nobody unless you're willing to go through the conventional door first. You heard?
Talk to me, brother, about we always talk about the Freemasons, but there's nothing out there dealing with the Eastern Stars.
Yes, it is.
What are the Eastern Stars?
People just don't look far enough.
Come on, get into it.
And the reason why, and first let me tell you this.
What is an Eastern Star?
It's a female Mason. She's a fellow. You know what I'm saying? And men are to become. You can't become a fellow, Eastern Star, but you have to become a fellow to the Eastern Star lodges, and it's for women to utilize their sorority type situations.
But
to
how do they begin to get into it? What are some of the steps that they take
something their grandmothers
to get into?
I've never been through their initiation. I've never been through their initiation, and I've only read. They have a book on the Eastern Stars called The Second Mile. You heard? It's called The Second Mile. It's a very rare book. I bought it from a Freemasonic store in Miami. You heard? Years ago, and it speaks about and you can find a Kessinger Press book that speaks about it. But they utilize their 5-pointed star. Each of those points on the star represent a biblical heroine or a woman personage. Like for instance, and you'll find this played out inside of the film. What's Denzel playing the blind man? Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
In the Book of Eli, there was a part where, because those brothers had to be Freemasonic. This is like their second Freemasonic movie. You know, after the one with the Jack the Ripper joint.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So now this one, there was a scene where Denzel Washington and his female protagonist with him, they were seeking asylum. You heard? In their journey. I'm using words. You heard? So in their journey, they pull up on a house, and this is a house occupied by cannibals. They usually eat people. You heard? When they see them. But the woman's name was Martha. You heard? And when I saw that the woman's name was Martha, I went right to my study, and that is Martha's job. She is supposed to be the woman who is in charge of bringing in those weary travelers. You know what I'm saying? And that's what her job was. They brought them in and they fed them and they protected them from the people who were looking for them, and they actually fought with them and died for them. You understand? So the Eastern Stars, when sisters become Eastern Stars, is usually because a grandmother or an aunt was one, or and it's always related to a system of internal support where they support one another. You know what I'm saying?
Do they have a familiar throughway through the sororities?
of course, the many of those sisters had sorority. They were in sororities, and if they went to college, they were more than likely in sororities. Like you have what's those sisters' names? They Kappas? Are they Kappas? What are they? The sisters, they throw up their little sign and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, I know. Right. So something like that. In the Alpha, the Alphas, quite a few people are Alphas too. You heard? And in this instance, the brother came into town. He came to check me. You know, we went to me and him was in elementary school together. You know, I know him for years. He was out there, flew out there to work for one of those electronic companies, doing something for them, whatever. My homie, he's from Wisconsin. So now he tells me that he's waiting for like the sister sorority to the Alphas, who is her job to accommodate him in the town. So these sisters are everywhere that Alphas are at. So when you come into town and you call whoever is in charge of the Alphas there, they tell the sisters to come out, pick you up at the airport. Did you go eat? Take you where you need to go. Hospitality. You heard?
Yeah, that's boss.
What's better than that?
We need that in the community.
That you could go. Yeah, we do. We kind of have it though.
We do.
We have it when I go to Chicago. Moors know you in the Chicago. You Moor. They extend courtesies.
That's what the Moors did that for me in Texas.
Exactly.
They took care of me.
Exactly. So that is Freemasonic. Anybody against that is weird to me. You against that we got a network where we all over. So what, we got to use Greek letters to define this shit. We are building a house of secret, my nigga. And we ain't trying. We ain't here to when the doors is closed, we could use the Medu. You heard? But we playing stuff on people. This is, when I say play stuff, we are putting them in game. You heard? The game is external and it's internal. I'm from a generation that you don't tell everybody what's on your mind. You put them in game. You never know who they're gonna become in the future. You don't show people your whole hand. Hold your cards close to your chest. So what is this new thing where consciousness becomes all of a sudden speaking about the things that are in the deepest part of my heart? That ain't conscious. That's naivety. You know what I'm saying? That's for little babies.
All right, my brother. Powerful message right there. Let's deal with the Vatican, man. Why do you think the Pope really stepped down? Because we know, by going back to Phil Valentine tapes, he got the seat of Satan, the throne of Rome. Phil broke down that whole thing about the Vatican, brought out the wickedness and the homosexuality that's going on. Papers coming out last week about why they think the Pope really stepping down, because, you know, he been affiliated with that homo stuff, but he ain't really coming out with it like that. Well, talk to us about some of that stuff there, brother.
Well, to be very honest with you, I'm really not interested in what's going on in the Vatican, nor am I interested in homosexual males and their behavior, politically or otherwise. That has no relevance or significance to me. I will say this though, that if people who are interested in that, and that means a great deal to their ability to define their reality or what's going to happen next, proverbially, I think to pay attention to the upheavals and the experiences that Caucasian males are having, it auspiciously in a sense makes you them. You heard? You actually become them when you have to speak about them. So not taking away any of the great, and I want to say that my Vatican fix, I'm done with that. Reverend Valentine gave me the full blueprint. In fact, in our circle, can't nobody even go beyond where he went with it. You understand?
That's right.
Except for the Pope and them. They could tell us some more or whatever, but I've never received a Catholic dollar. I don't. You know, they ain't never invited me to the Vatican. We ain't going to. Ain't no nigga going into the catacombs to read none of them books. I don't care what they doing in Rome. You understand?
Well, if Professor Larry was here, he don't like that word nigga, you know, that you use.
I'm not even interested in that. and that's an old concept either.
And you know what? When people say that, I think they try to erase history. When they don't want you to use that word nigga or something like that, they try to erase the word.
I think it's absurd to try to tell someone else what to speak or how to speak.
Or how to speak. What
you know,
talking about?
You know, that's I don't want to talk about none of that stuff. I got a powerful
clip that I want to play, and I want both of y'all to look at this. It's going to be dealing with the Sicilians.
Was it True Romance?
Oh, you know about that?
Oh, we seen this. I seen that in the movie.
About that?
I seen that.
What part am I talking about?
The part when they
about to kill him.
When he cut his hand, he told him he was he had nigga all of him. We see that, and we had that when we was little in the crib.
And he also dealt with the Moors and all that.
Yeah.
That was my first Moorish experience via Hollywood.
Was bad, man. I ain't even see that. I tried to look it up on Netflix. It's not even on Netflix.
Nah, they don't hold on. That's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Mr. the Django Unchained.
I know.
You know what I mean? That was genius.
Who was a fucking
filmmaker.
Genius. That was his first.
He deserved that Oscar.
Yeah, he did.
There's another video out, and it's called Burn. Did y'all see Burn?
Who's in Burn?
I don't know, but I bought it yesterday. I'm glad I bought it.
Oh, yeah, I know about Burn. You mean that's like a Django type?
Yesterday, I don't know where the hell.
As a riot, put me onto that.
Yeah, I bought that movie yesterday. Gotta look for that.
The interesting thing about it is
he made that movie too. I think it's a Django movie, right?
He ain't make it. It's an old movie.
On Django,
they filmed on
not
Louisiana.
Django, it's like it.
They filmed on a plantation in Louisiana, and then one of the people who was there helping, one of the sisters that was helping, her family was buried on the plantation, and her family
on Burn.
No, in Django. Her family was buried on the plantation, on that land, and they were black speakers of German. You heard? Mm-hmm. You know, that film was if it ever was the ancestors speaking through people. We always speak about the ancestors, but negate the fact that we are the ancestors. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we work through things. We always undermine the genius of our ancestors by always saying that these people got more power over us now. The ancestors have conspired to make the world the way it is now, so the world can run efficiently to their destiny, the destiny that they have chosen for it.
Yeah, Bobby. I saw a clip. Bobby Hemmett bodied that shit. Even when he talked about,
we're trying to say that our people are ignorant.
Even when
people ain't know what was gonna happen.
Who said that?
This how people make it.
This how people make it like this shit was an accident. Yeah. Bobby laid it down and was like, the ancestors knew about all this shit. They set it up, they propped it up, even with uplifting these crackers in Europe during the whole Dark Ages. He said, imagine what the world would be if we didn't civilize a handful of them. You understand? They were utilized to preserve the culture, irregardless of what they have done to the planet. That's something that they'll pay for when the time comes. But the ones who they civilized, who have, went ahead and preserved some of the formulas and some of the culture, a lot of the algorithms and the computers and the technology that we are benefiting, that's formulas. That's stuff that we created. You dig what I'm saying? All of this shit is stuff that we created, but the European has been the caretaker of our sciences. He said the ancestors carved it in stone, they wrote it in stone, they wrote it down, they buried it, they preserved it. This is a pit stop in history.
Would it be fair to say, Brother Red Pill, that religion has been our downfall? Some people say religion helped us a whole lot coming up out of slavery. And without that religion, we would have really been towed up.
Thank you. Religion is the depository for the mystery systems. Religion is a very key component to psychology, and psychology rests and nestles off of the accomplishments that religion has been able to pull off. And why are we disconnecting ourselves from the historical knowledge that the priesthood were the ones who were originally in power? The priesthood were the ones who created the festive days. The priesthood were the ones who created theater, so that people will go to our theatrical experiences during festival time and watch actors act out the stories that the priesthood wrote, so that the psychology can be loyal to the undertakings of the culture that they were planning out. The priesthood created the monarchy, but then the monarchy sat up there with looking all cute and everything, with all of the gold and everything, and then start thinking that they were smarter than the priest, and then the infighting, and then the priest died, and then they start using religion to guide the people and take the people. And you go to Kim and look at the walls where we be talking about it was the white man came over there and knocked the faces off a lot of them stuff. Certain periods in Egypt, they would change the books. They'd be like, listen, we don't need this story. This narrative is not serving us no more. It's an aspect of this story that will undermine us politically. Now we need to remove that god from that temple complex and replace it with this new god. You heard? So
that whole Akhenaten period, that struggle that took place with Amun,
we have Akhenaten spirituality now.
Yeah.
You heard? And we have his spirituality now underlying our stories, and all of the writings of Amenhotep. Hopefully, I'm saying my ancestor's name correctly. No, I'm speaking about another brother. The writings of Amenhotep, are the writings that derive the book of Psalms and the Proverbs. You understand? So the Proverbs that grandma and them, right? Grandma and them was so displaced from Egypt, they don't know nothing about no Egypt, bro. You heard? But they still have Amenhotep's, the brother's writings and his wisdom sayings in their face. And then when you go to Cuba, or you go to, offshore, you go to into in Latin America, they using those verses and saying them and correlating them with candle lighting and things of that nature.
Why do you think our people, not all, but in the so-called quote-unquote conscious community, are so fed up with religion? They don't want to hear nothing about religion.
They've been abused by religion.
They've been abused by they have been comprehensive, far more comprehensive honor and respect for literature and culture, and correlating history with certain periods and understanding why we did things. I don't want to castigate my people and say that my people were ignorant. You heard? When they were, because let me tell you something about the Bible. The Bible told Harriet Tubman to free black people. She said she had a dream. The God of the Bible revealed himself to her in a dream. You heard? Martin Luther King, the God of his Bible, revealed himself in a dream. You understand? They were Christians. So Marcus is bad. Marcus Mosiah Garvey is bad now, huh? Because he was Christian. You know, so how do you get this point across to the quote-unquote conscious community? A lot of people in the quote-unquote conscious community, Nat Turner as well was awakened by the Bible, but also he was awakened not just by the Bible, but a celestial sign. See, Nat Turner used the full moon as a symbol. You understand? And the color of it. You understand? But
they're saying by the way it is today. Today, our people are using it just differently from the way our ancestors did.
Listen, let me tell you something. I got people all over the United States of America. When I go to Chicago, I hear the stories about sisters who can't pay rent. None of the baby fathers want to give them nothing. The streets don't want to give them nothing. Their family don't want to give them nothing. Their last resort is go to the church. You understand? The church pay the people rent. You understand?
No, I know you're right, because when I look at this out here, I see how the lines be all the way around the corner on Thanksgiving days, on a lot of days like that, and everybody go up in them churches and they walk out with bags and shopping bags and turkeys.
Let me tell you something, brother. The church, let me tell you how powerful political the church is. They got a church in Dannemora. He was in Clinton before, right? And you know, in that big yard. You know who built that church?
Who did that?
Italian gangsters. You heard? What you call it? The Siegel, Bugsy Siegel and them. You heard? Or Lucky Luciano. One of them built that church. Had mob money, built that church. So when they show you in the films where Herman Hesse and them and the Goodfellas was up in the joint while niggas is running around stabbing each other, killing each other, putting lipstick on each other, they was up in the room cutting up onions with razors, drinking wine, eating lobster. You heard? Because they used the political apparatus. You know how many brothers I know in the joint that got home just because they went to religious service? One of my homies from Harlem, my man just from Harlem, that nigga did 20-something years in the penitentiary since he was 14. You heard? They kept hitting him at the board. He said, you know what? I swear to you, Sonetta. He said, you know what? I'm starting to go to Catholic service. That's the best thing he ever did. He started going to Catholic service. Father Frank was his name. Father Frank running around with a pen on the whole time, but niggas don't know nothing about symbols, nothing about nothing. They just so fucking ignorant. It's ridiculous. They don't know that they in the joint with the Knights of Columbus. You heard? You ask them, where'd you get the pen from? The Knights of Columbus got the presidents on speed dial like this. You understand? So the Knights of Columbus joint, you ask them, where'd you get that pen from? They always say this: a friend gave it to me. That's what you're supposed to say. You heard? That's like you in LA and you ask a Crip, how long you been Crip? He gonna say from day one. Yeah. You understand? And then when you ask him how old he is, he gonna tell you how many years he was Crip. He ain't gonna tell you how old he is. You understand? So if you're not knowledgeable of that and of the language, the through lines and the goal.
Now I see what you mean when you say that's like Freemasonry. It is symbols, the Crips. It's similar. Going in on that.
It is, and it's something that's crucial to the development of human psychology and human existence, is to have secret societies. When we are in butt naked Africa, the most indigenous people in the world, they have spiritual systems where that you grew up calling your father a certain name, but he got a name that you don't even know about that they call him when he goes in the hut and he puts on a mask. You heard? And when he puts on that mask, he has to operate through a different modality in order for them to have access to their ancestors. Every culture has had parts in their historical experience where they become slaves. Slavery plays a significant role for us here in America because we are living in a country that has improved the quality of its life based off of the backs and the disenfranchisement of African people. So of course it's going to have a very crucial significance on us, and furthermore it's going to lodge itself into our genetics, where we're going to be able to pass on the negative maladies of this experience onto our children, which is very unfortunate unless we do some things to change how we format our own psychology. However, I will say this, that we were once slave owners as well. Yeah. So when they say that the chicken has come home to roost, what does that mean? That don't have nothing to do with nothing else, huh? It don't apply to us either, huh?
Just Kennedy.
You know what I'm saying? Just that. So I mean, who were the ones who were walking us up? And I people be like, Africans sold us into slavery too. Well, that ain't gonna make me look at Africans and be like, y'all sold me into slavery. You heard? I'm not finna do that. I'm finna do this though. My thing is, I want to put the cart in front of the horse. I know where I came from. I know where I'm at. Now I can chart a course to the future. And in the future, there ain't gonna be no discussions about none of this. You heard? Because when we historically look back, we could find discussions where, through civic legislation, white folks got their ass out of slavery. Through civic legislation and tweaks in linguistics, they turned the word pig into blackness. Everything black turned into more. Go to California and you can tell where they serving pork at, because the shit say Morisco. You heard? You understand what I'm saying?
Really?
And that's a linguistic thing. You understand? That it comes from through civic legislation. They made everything ecclesiastically. When people, the most ignorant thing that people who are not indulging themselves in the real strata, on the real talk, and the real study, is that they think that black people are the Hamites in the Bible. That is the most absurd postulate of all, that we are Ham in the Bible, and that we derive from Ham in the Bible. If they would only indulge themselves in a spiritual overview of the text, they'll understand that they would go and approach the word cursed. You heard? To actually see what the word cursed means. They would also look at the traditions that emanated from that whole area. The area in question that I'm speaking about is the location where the Gnostic concepts derive from the Nag Hammadi region of Egypt, right? Where they found the Gnostic scriptures, which give us a full overview of, in fact, why darkness means evil in the psychology of biblical constructs through a period where translation got lost in translation, where what gets lost in translation is the spiritual facts. So darkness, according to a specific block of spiritual matters, meant anything material. You understand what I'm saying? So they were trying to say that the material world, as we know it, is evil. The color of the material world is blackness. It's blackness, like that camera. You heard? Black, like that camera, like the back of this phone. You heard? That's evil, because anything material represents the color black in spirituality. However, this the interesting thing. Yes, sir. Thank you. This is the interesting thing. Now, through civic legislation, they decided to make a people identified with the Gnostic trend or the story. And now you have poor black people sitting up talking about, I'm Ham, I'm Ham, and they wrong. We not cursed. We of this tribe and that. You ain't no tribe. You is not nowhere in the book. You heard? The book is a mystical book. That simply gives context. Thank you. Context and texture to a story that describes how things manifest in the physical world. The last color in the stages of manifestation is darkness. You heard? That is the evidence of reality. That is the evidence of existence. The evidence of reality is darkness, is blackness. It's the evidence of origin and the evidence of ending. It is an infinite circle of it's an agreement. When I sit here with you at the House of Consciousness, and when I think about our experience and why we even interact, it's really, we're nothing. Melanin is operating. You heard? The metaphysics on time.
Hold up, you said the what?
The metaphysics laid out by Reverend Valentine regarding our existence is very powerful when he postulates that melanin is an autonomous feature of the organic world that houses, it takes light and transforms light into intelligence. You understand? So when I hear that, I'm like, the dumbest, most ignorantest nigga in the world is secretly a god, a conduit for the transformation of intelligence and light. And the evidence of that is that he may very well be the most ignorant Negro alive, but his skin tone allows him to catch the beat. You understand? To have an affinity towards certain elements in nature and correlate them. You understand?
Because please believe that he has an intelligence in something. Dr. Africa spoke about this in his lecture. He said, if the fisherman were to take you out into the sea, you're illiterate. You understand? and he's intelligent. You may be a book smart, you may have letters behind your name and everything, but if he took you into his realm where he's intelligent, you become illiterate to the sea in the way that the fish and all of these other things, how to catch them, how to trap them, what to look for and things of that nature. So even with the so-called most ignorant, or what we may deem as the most illiterate, ignorant amongst us, please believe that there's something in their lives that they have exhibited intelligence in. The nigga might be a great dancer. You know what I'm saying? The ability to move the body and the rhythm. He may be a great rapper. He may be a great whatever. You know what I'm saying? But there's something that he or she exhibits that, you know, she may be the greatest fucking weave layer and know how to stack it in platforms and whatever it may be.
Even the absence of melanin produces a certain valence of intelligence, one where it has to compensate for its loss. It's like having one leg. The other one gets strong as hell. You heard? The lack thereof.